Hey, Finn, what are you doing? A little light morning reading?
Oh yeah, yeah. Hey guys, I just for fun, I like to pull this out sometimes.
So besides working out, you also like to break a mental sweat too.
That's right. Exercise the prefrontal cortex or whatever it's called. I don't know. It makes me look smart. Doesn't sound very smart though.
We have Mike on today.
How's it
Ah,
going,
great.
guys?
Yes, Mike Riotto. How you doing?
Hanging in there. How about yourselves?
Doing all right.
Good. Good, good,
Keeping
good.
busy.
Oh yeah. Yeah, keep moving. That was our motto when this whole mess happened. There's two things was number one was to be part of the solution, and number two is to keep moving. Keep talking, keep designing, keep creating, collaborating, physically keep moving if you're working from home, which I did that for the first week and then my wife kicked me out.
How's the virus and everything now that we're late in the game in May in Long Island City?
Everyone thought the world was coming to an end. I was like, no zombies. Still no zombies walking around Long Island City. There's still the same homeless guys are still around. That's in some ways it's kind of reassuring because they're it's I'll take whatever I can get, but everyone, thank God, everyone is healthy. Everyone's healthy. Staff are from working from home, just like you guys are, just like most of us are.
Well, I love the philosophy of you got to keep moving. That's exactly right. Everybody's got to keep moving and adapting because these
Yeah.
are new conditions, new times. We all got to roll with the punches and make changes. So what are some of the changes that you guys have been making to respond to this?
We modified our business model immediately to be, again, as I was saying a second ago, be part of the solution. How can we contribute to improve the situation, whatever that may be? In our particular, specialty being lighting and lighting design, or being a lighting specialty firm, really, we kind of merged two of our divisions, which was the custom division, our engineering division, and we started designing and developing and engineering UV fixtures in response to trying to get our one of our clients is cruise ships, of course, trying to get the cruise ships clean, trying to reassure the paying public that they were going to get into a clean cabin or a cruise ship public space or whatever it may be. And so we just started from zero. And honestly, there wasn't even a formal request to come up with the solution. We just initiated it on our own. We went and shared this with our clients, who are the largest cruise operators in the world, the top two actually, that being Carnival Cruise Corporation and also Royal Caribbean, and great clients of ours. And just trying to help them. There's a lot of really great people in the industry, and again, we're not about to sit around and wait for someone else to come up with the solution.
In one of our other coffee talks, we started talking about UV. And then there's obviously a lot of technical hurdles that come with that, the type of UV and how long a room's exposed and the exposure angles. So what were some of the biggest things you had to tackle when you were thinking through a solution?
It's actually a number of things. First of all, there's a lot of snake oil being sold. I hate to say it, but it's just, everybody right now is desperate. And it's unfortunate because that's bringing out the worst in people as well. I hate, listen, we all need to, survive. We all need to grow a business, make business, and what have you. But like, if you can buy some of the things you can buy on Amazon will hurt you if you don't know what you're doing. And that kind of blows me away that that's even possible, number one. So what we needed to do is, as we were educating ourselves very quickly on UV, the first step was to educate them as well. So there's different kinds of UVs. You're already aware of them: UVA, BC, FAR, UVC. Breaking it down, we started with sort of a webinar presentation that was on the education side of things, the science of it all, the different types, what they're good for, the pros and cons, the dangers, et cetera, et cetera. We go into, and then the second thing that we followed up with was an application. So now that we've told you the different types, now we're going to present to you the applications as it pertains to your business. We basically put a plan together for in three different phases. Phase one is the priority spaces: the guest cabins, crew cabins, public restrooms, food service areas, embarkation areas, and provisioning areas. Phase two is the remaining public spaces. Phase three is remaining technical spaces. You can't do it all at once because the cruise companies are hurting right now. They're cash strapped. but you got to spend some money to make the money again. And again, we were coming from the perspective of, you got to reassure the paying public that they're getting onto a clean ship, but it has to be effective. So what we've decided to do is focus on UVC. 3 months ago and before that, most UVC was mostly used for hospitals and operating rooms and surgery centers, this type of stuff. So the fixtures available looked like they belonged in a surgery center. There was nothing aesthetically pleasing at all about them. There were no curves to anything. There was no design aesthetic. There was very little. And that's okay. That's fine. That's what worked then. But that doesn't work in a hotel, and it doesn't work on a cruise ship, which is basically a hotel. So we decided to design our own. But you got to be careful with UVC. So we have safety mechanisms that we have on board. We also have data on board each fixture as well that gives information to the owner in terms of when rooms are clean, if there's a disruption to the cleaning cycle, when did that happen, everything is time stamped. So they basically have a digital paper trail to when spaces are clean. And then that subsequently acts as data points that they can start collecting other information on, not just as it pertains to the fixture itself or UV cleaning. So it's been pretty cool so far. It's got tentacles, it's growing, and it's rooting itself. In addition to, it's kind of nuts in a way, because in addition to creating new fixtures, designing, engineering, going to labs, we are also talking to CDC as well. And because of course, I'm sure you've heard in the news, they are working with the cruise lines. They always have. USPH, or U.S. Public Health, is the division of CDC that works with the cruise vessels. And so what we're doing right now is we are trying to help the CDC update their lighting standards for vessel sanitation, or what they call the Vessel Sanitation Program. And it's basically a book of standards that pertains to not just lighting, but everything, how to keep ships clean, how to light them, what's the minimum lighting level requirements, how to treat certain situations, et cetera, et cetera. And the latest version is 2018. Now we're in a whole other era. So now, so we're trying to help them. What you don't want to do is have the government really come down hard, even harder on the cruise lines than they have, because some of that stuff is just, honestly, it's just not true. We're out there all the time, and ships are very clean, and the media has just ripped them apart. And it's not entirely true.
That's really exciting, the stuff you're talking about here, and a great step forward, being really proactive and trying to get ahead of the problem and solving something. So in a previous coffee talk, we'd had a discussion about UVC, and one of the big issues was the aesthetics of the fixtures. They're all meant for surgery rooms or back technical spaces. None of it's meant to be for regular spaces. So how did you guys address the aesthetic needs with the UVC?
Well, so yeah, we started off with the fixture. We spent probably the first 6 to 7 weeks at least, it feels like, probably more than that now, on an LED fixture. We do a ton of LED retrofit projects for the cruise industry. First of all, the chips have gone out and they're astronomically expensive. It's just way out of reach. They're incredibly inefficient. I think it's like 95% of the energy is lost out of the back of the chip. Well, to be perfectly honest, we're at a low pressure mercury source now, old school. So there's pros and cons to that. The mission, we have to remember that the mission, before something looks great and beautiful, is that it's got to work. And that's what we're doing. So, and we're also trying to address our clients' needs, because again, as I said earlier, they're not exactly swimming in cash right now. They're bleeding heavily. So they don't have the money to buy fixtures that are 5 to 6 times what they should be right now. So, but having said that, we're designing the fixtures in a way that they can be upgraded as well. So without having to throw the whole fixture away, you can just buy an upgrade kit later once the UVC LED technology advances to a point where it's cost effective, which will be soon, I would think. A year or two down the road, you can change that out if you wish, if the client wants to, and there you go. So everybody goes home happy. Right now, solve the problem now, and when they get the money later and everything else, a few years, then they can decide if they want to upgrade.
So it's really interesting, because for you to have that type of insight, because the cruise industry has been so much in the news. What do you honestly think, from what you gather and your experience there, what do you think the future will be? You think it's gonna, like a lot of people right now, I think, feel the industry, as things open back up, will kind of bounce back to a little bit of where we were, because everyone was having a great beginning to 2020 before this hit. Do you think it's going to bounce right back? Do you think it's going to take some time? I thought it was pretty interesting to see that there was a record number of cruises booked for the near future.
Yeah, it'll bounce back. No question it will. I think that what'll hold it back is going to be the items that are attached to it, such as airlines, such as hotels, such as the ports. Right now, the ports, they're not even fully open. So that's one of the reasons why the cruise lines aren't able to operate right now. Even if they were cleared and ready to go, the ports haven't opened. So if you don't have anywhere to go, you don't really have much of a business. That plus the airlines. If you can't get to the ship, you're not going to get on the cruise. Back in 08 and 09, when the financial crisis happened, a lot of companies were shedding people left, right, and center. But at the end of the day, people still needed to take a vacation. So if a cruise back then was normally, let's say, $900 per person for a 7-day cruise, they were selling them for $300 per person per cruise. And that's your hotel room, essentially, and all the food you can possibly want. And if you broke that down per day, it was crazy. You couldn't even be in an apartment for that, that cost. So they were getting people on the ships. They were all packed, sold out. And then once you're on board the ship, what do you end up doing? You end up going to the casino. You end up going to the bar, So that's where they made it back. And so there's different ways that they're able to navigate different things.
One of the technical challenges with the UV that we were talking about in another coffee talk was, light only travels in a straight line. Anything that casts a shadow is going to be blocking that UV. So were you guys trying to solve that as well? Did you find any insight there?
No, as you said, I mean, we're not going to win that battle against physics there, but no, I think really what we're trying to do is, it's not perfect. There's really no 100% perfect solution out there from anybody yet, and that's totally fine. I think that's just completely normal, actually. But it's a very strong message, and it is scalable, and I think what needs to happen is, whichever client, we're talking to a lot of people about this, all the majors. So whoever decides to take this solution on board is sending a strong message. They're sending a message to the client that this is the investment we're willing to make sure that you're getting into a clean cabin. And it's an automated solution as well, because the other alternatives are mostly manual. So sprays, antimicrobial stuff, the quote unquote robots, which are just roll around overhead projectors with LED, xenon stuff on them, which is all fine and dandy. It works for the situations that they were designed for, but I don't think of it as a robot. That's my personal opinion, mind you. That's all it is, for what it's worth. But the problem is that it's not consistent. So our solution is an automated, consistent solution. And so it doesn't matter what cabin you've purchased, whether you're an inside cabin on deck 2 or whether you're a royal suite on deck 15 aft. Everybody deserves a consistently cleaned cabin. And it doesn't matter what brand you're on or what ship you're on.
Do you think, if you had to look into a crystal ball, do you think that this is going to be the new standard for both cruises and, the hospitality industry alike?
Well, I think it's here to stay for a lot of reasons. UV lighting has been around forever. We all know that. It works. But it's funny because what we've done is we seem to sort of subliminally merge a previous business pitch that we've been working on for several years, which is this intelligent vessel system, networking data system, if you will, which is basically data and machine learning and data points everywhere, tracking people in buildings, for example, energy efficiencies, weather related, how does that affect, building, energy efficiency ultimately was the reason for this coming about, because we do a lot of energy projects. In this particular case, UV is going to be here to stay for sure. And then on top of that, the data side is here to stay as well.
We've talked to a lot of people, and you, because of the work you do, are in a lot of ways kind of on the cutting edge almost of what people are doing as solutions for this. what could us in the industry do better or do more of to, I guess, address this?
You mean as a lighting industry?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good question, because so from the beginning of this whole outbreak, again, we want to be part of the solution. We want to keep moving. We also want to lead from the front. That's one of the things that one of my clients tells me all the time: lead from the front. Go out there and be proactive. Initiate it. Take the initiative. Start it. Engage. Whatever. I think it's really, really important.
I feel like with all the offices being closed, especially big offices being closed out into the fall already, universities closed out into the fall already, that's their method of inspiring confidence, but it's not getting ahead of the curve. How do you think that we can do a better job from the lighting industry to help build that confidence and help some of these offices get ahead of the curve so they can open back up?
So I think getting ahead of it and just going and I was about to say knock on the doors of the of the architectural clients and go do the lunch and learns at their space. Clearly that's different now. But do the Zooms and the go-tos and the WebExes and stuff. Educate them. Step one is to educate them on what it is and the dangers. That's probably our greatest feedback has been this immense amount of gratitude, really, because we were proactive and we went to our clients. We went to the architectural firms and we said, hey, we think you need to hear about this before it gets too late, so that you're educated just enough to have a conversation with your client as well. And it's been super receptive, because it's not like they want to employ UV lighting immediately, but they want to wrap their head around it so that they can start to sort of plan for it in the holistic view of the design, of the project rather. So there's been a lot of educating going on. So that first component, that sort of educating component, has been really, really great, where we break down the different kinds of UVs and what they are, what they do, the dangers, etc. Super, super receptive. Again, part of the mission is to not just educate them on that, but also to steer them clear of all the snake oil and all the stuff that people want to sell you out of the briefcases on a street corner, because there's a lot of it.
From your perspective, Mike, we have connected offices, we have key cards, we have aux sensors, we already have a lot of data collection happening in office spaces. We also have PoE now as an emerging way to collect data and to control lighting. How do you see all of this potentially tying together to be a comprehensive solution, including UV, to help give people the confidence to be back in office spaces?
I think it's UV, but it's also other technology as well, such as thermal. When you start having high profile commuter systems like MTA or other, it could be a big hotel chain or a cruise line, for example, and they're deploying it, that says something, that reassures, in that particular case, the paying public. But also in office buildings here in the city, I think that it's gonna come down to whoever has the cleanest office spaces are gonna get the pick of the litter of people, as well. I mean, if you had a choice to pick a job between 10 different jobs, and they were all office based in the city, it could be possible that people are going to start saying, well, let's see how they treat their people. And one way to determine that is to see, what are the protective measures they have. But the technology is there. The technology is 100% there. And we're just we're just piggybacking off of a lot of existing stuff as it is, especially on aux sensors.
Well, Mike, we appreciate your time. This has honestly been inspiring. So I think we're going to go out and figure out how to lead on our fronts and get our specifiers out there educated.
All right. No, thanks for having me. This is good stuff. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and thanks again for inviting me and able to share some of this. And if there's anything else, you know where to find me.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. It's really, really great stuff. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks again. Thanks again, guys.